Okay, go ahead and call the meeting to order. Go ahead and do the roll call. Heather.
Here.
Kim.
Here.
I'm here. Cindy.
Here.
Marlene.
Here.
And we're missing Joe and Micah. We have to make an amendment to the agenda under executive session, where at the end of the deal where it says review medical files, we'll add and legal update. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
I motion to approve the agenda as this is Kim.
And this is Cindy, I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approval of the board minutes for August 22, 2024 board meeting.
I move we approve, this is Cindy, I move we approve the minutes from the previous meeting.
This is Heather, I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Also note that Micah is present also. Visitors' comments. Do we have any visitors' comments? Any visitors in the online?
No.
None. Moving on to board member comments. Any board member comments? New business. Max Camp will provide an overview of the investment accounts. Trying to get hooked up here.
We had it hooked up and it was working when we started. Okay, so my name is Max Camp. I own Continental Investor Services. And I'm gonna just do a quick kind of overview of this. I've given everybody a page there. Why this has gone to this screen, I'm not. There we go, there we go. I apologize for this. I'm not very good with. This is not doing it. So I apologize. I don't know why this is not coming up with that report.
Do you want to just go over the?
I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna just take.
Yep.
Because I can.
Which one do you have, Max? I can share my screen if you're showing Portfolio Connect.
Yes, it is, Shari.
Let me share my screen then.
And the hard copy that we have here is the overview.
That would be this one here, right?
Yeah, that looks a little different than the one.
This is the big account. I'm not sure which
Yes.
account. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you, as long as you've got it there, Shari, I'll let you just go through it because mine, is not, it's got the account, but it's not the same thing was, it's actually printed off. I'm gonna give this back. So if you want to take that, Shari.
Yeah, so what we're looking at here is the bigger of the two accounts as of yesterday's close. So as of yesterday's close, it's a $4.2 million balance with and you can kind of see there's that plus 928 year-to-date net change. So up 9.28 year-to-date for performance. It's got about 53,000 in cash. So if I scroll down into this pie chart here, you're about 60% equity and 36% fixed income. And then 1.26, 1.25-ish cash. This little 2.27 in other, that's actually a commodity ETF that I actually would put into kind of the equity bucket, but it's in there to be an inflationary hedge. So it's, it kind of smooths out the ride a little bit when you have periods like we have had of kind of bumpy inflation. And you can see over here the asset class allocation in table form to the right. From a performance standpoint, we can look at this two ways, either a gross of fee or a net of fee. If we go net of fee, all, so the 8.33, so that's from the entire time period that this has at its, I think is like 2018 to date. That's an annualized per year, year over year, 8.33% figure. The cash numbers look kind of funny because the way they do the math on these is the fee completely comes out of that line. So if I were to do a gross of fee which is 9.12, none of the numbers for equity, fixed, or other change. It all kind of sits in that cash line. So you can kind of ignore that, the big negatives there on cash, because you're not losing 33% on your cash. It's just how the math works out with cash. But you have, so year to date, you can see there's that 9.28 performance. And if you compare that, there's three lines kind of down below, one that says Bloomberg, one that says MSCI World US dollar, and then MSCI World X USA. You can think about the difference between the bottom two as essentially one is the whole world and the other one is the world without the USA. And this is this is a world invested portfolio, so it has non-US and US exposure. So when we look at this, kind of that 15.8 is the representation, but sometimes it's nice to look at, you know, kind of how did the non-US perform, and it's nice to see, honestly, kind of the non-US piece of things starting to perform. It's had a really rough go for a super long time on the non-US investing, but you can see if the whole world did 15, 10 of that is coming from the non-US piece. And non-US typically is about 40, about half or better of that number. You wouldn't think so, but it is. The non-US piece of the 15.8 is quite a bit of, the US does not represent as much of those as people, I think, sometimes think. So when you think about this portfolio being, like I said, you're running about 60% equity, 40% bond. You know, you're performing extremely well. You know, from inception, the 833, because it's essentially performing better than what a 60-40 portfolio would typically do. The fixed income piece of this portfolio, you would compare that line to the Bloomberg line there too. So you can see on the 3-year number, especially, you know, you had a positive 0.32 against the market, which was the bond market, which was a negative 0.37 there. And then this chart over here just kind of shows it all in a line. You know, each of these lines, like, so the black line, there's the bonds, that's the bond market. The yellow line is the world, the whole world. And you would expect your portfolio, the blue line, to be between this yellow line and the black line. And it is, and ironically, that blue line right there is running really close to kind of that non-US performance, but right where it should be based on how it's performed. And this is all net of fee, by the way. Questions on that at all?
And I've got to say, I think what Amber, the handout that I gave, I don't know that she gave us this performance report. What I will do, because I don't think it follows through, I'll get a hard copy of this for everybody up here to be able to look at.
And depending upon, you know, boards look at things sometimes differently. There also is, I can look at this as of the last quarter end, we can look at it that way, or look at the last month end. It just depends on how you kind of track your things. But the story is the same.
So I guess I would, are there questions that anybody has right now? By chance? Again, with the handout that I gave you, if you do have questions after this, call me or get a hold of me and we'll get it fixed where I can get an answer. But I'll get a copy of this performance report because I don't think it follows through what Amber had printed off page by page.
And this portfolio, and I didn't pull it up, but just this portfolio does sits within your policy guidelines.
Yeah, and I guess I would point out here, which everybody can see, this is your equity exposure. And that's the investment guideline. We have to keep it within those perimeters. This equity, we don't want this to go up to 70 or 80%. We don't want it to drop to 40%. So this is continually kept to where it's within the guidelines of the investment policy. And I don't have really a whole lot more to say.
It's always easy when it's good news.
Well, yeah.
So the bottom line would be that overall, our investments are doing well for us at the present time.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been doing quite well. I've been very pleased with the way that this has performed. You know, all of these securities here that you have are effectively passive investments. So you're not taking on a lot of, excess market risk. It's not like you're, way over invested in Apple or some sort of tech thing or something like that. This is all very well diversified and passively invested. So really where the performance comes in with this is in just those little nuances with having, really making sure we have that diversification across the size and the style, and even like the type of bond securities you've got. If you'd invest in fixed income, and Max speaks to fixed income way better than I do, but if you had everything in like 10-year and 30-year treasuries, that's a really wild ride, especially in the last, 2-3 years. What we've done with this portfolio, it's very well diversified across short-term and long-term. It's a little bit more on the shorter end because of the volatility that there was happening with interest rates, as especially if anybody tried to buy a house, you're well aware of what's happening there. Actually, we just bought a truck. I about fell off my chair when I saw what the interest rates were on car loans. So we were cognizant and always kind of watching that. So that has really helped the performance of this portfolio in that space too. The Fed lowered rates today, which was fully expected. So the market already had that priced in, but so we'll be continuing to watch that situation. Oh,
Are there
yesterday.
any questions from the board for them? Thank you. Matt?
Thank you again.
Yeah, thank you.
And I'll get copies of that up to everybody.
Okay.
Then this I can just unplug.
I will drop then, right? I'm done. I don't want to.
Thank you, Sherry.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks so much, you guys.
Thank you, Max.
Thank you.
Committee reports, resource.
I will keep this short, but we had a resource committee meeting this week. There's been some variation in patient numbers and services offered. Financially, no major shifts, and we continue to hold the line financially. It was noted that TrueBridge has hired a new team, and that has not as yet really resulted in much change in billings and days in AR. We're still kind of working at trying to hire our own team. So that's kind of the direction that we're moving.
Thank you. Infection prevention. I don't know if we have a. Right, okay. Long-term care.
I was unable to go.
Okay. Critical Access Hospital. I don't know if we had someone of that or not. Okay, we're going to reports. Pharmacy. Did anyone have any questions regarding the pharmacy report? None? Thank you for that report, Elsie. Rehab department. Questions on that report? Thank you for that report, Brenna. Plant maintenance. Any questions on the plant maintenance report? One quick question, Wolf, based off the photo of the one pipe there, how much more time do you feel that one has?
Hi there, this is Wolf Brooks. So that line in particular was already leaking, so I would say it was, basically it's failed. It's still together and, I'm waiting on brackets right now until we can replace that line, but I would consider that failed already.
And I can't tell by the photo, but actually what diameter is that pipe?
That's 4-inch.
That's a
cast
4-inch
iron.
pipe?
Yeah. Yeah.
That'll be a substantial failure. Thank you. Activities report. Any questions regarding Alice's report? Alice? Environmental services? Anyone have any questions regarding that report? Thank you, Grazel, for that report. New facility. Any questions regarding the new facility report?
It's exciting to see it coming together.
Covers on it to indicate walls are going up. Thank you, Justin, for that report. Quality and infection prevention. The reports. Stephanie and Jennifer for those reports. Executive summary, Phil?
Yeah. Yeah, just a few highlights like I normally do. Just some activities over the last month or past 4 weeks. Consistently higher than average in our inpatient swing bed units. It's been going on, probably the highest PMC seen in a long time. And it's not just a up and down kind of line graph. It's really sort of consistent. So we're seeing something like 160 days in our inpatient unit. And I think in August it was 166. So pretty higher than average. And that's a lot of activity. Also high census in our long-term care. So those are good things, but it's very busy. It's been a very busy summer for our staff. ERs similar to our previous years, still high for as we would expect in the summertime. We had our specialty clinics in the past few weeks. We had our dermatology. Pierre French came up and had a pretty high volume clinic again. Very appreciative of that. We have our telehealth psychiatry services, which is great. We're starting to use our grant for that, and that's Dr. Sonkus is available, and we're working through that and increasing those services. Dr. Astor with ENT came in a few weeks ago, and we had this week we had our behavioral health services have some training led by Keith Riley. He's a nurse practitioner, is specialized in psych, and he came from Baltimore to provide some training to our nursing staff and our medical staff. Highlights from community side, Rainforest Run, very successful. Unfortunately, I wasn't here, but I heard it was a great turnout. So thank you to everyone that attended. We had KFSK Live today, so reported out related to access to care. So we're fully staffed in our medical staff, which is excellent, and we're working on improving access to care. and having, talking about wellness visits and both on our, in our youth and just in general, making sure people get their well checks, well childs, and they're also wellness, annual wellness visits, so. Financials, Jason's here in person, is going to talk about our financial status. We're continuing to work on HRG True Bridge, some of those transition pieces related to bringing them in-house, which Jason has been touching on in the last few months, and some status updates. One highlight, just an update on the grants. We did not receive the Denali Commission grant, which is unfortunate. It's not a total surprise, given they haven't really been focusing on healthcare, but we were hopeful on that. We're going to continue to apply again as soon as that round is open. And then also the strategic, there's a SAMHSA grant, and that's an acronym for behavioral health at the federal level. And that's a strategic prevention framework grant. So we still have 4 grants that are pending that we're waiting on. New facility, we still continue with the tours. We have, last week we had about 7 people. And the week before, I think not too many. And then the week before we had 13. So it kind of comes and goes and fits in spurts. So it's really great to get some community tours and access and talking to both staff and community members about it. And that's on track and on budget. Workforce wellness, which is our staffing. We have another cohort for the UAA nursing program, which is great. So we have two of our staff that are starting that, and that's Holly Davis and Bessie Johnson. So it's great that we have that trend, and we're continuing to having that successful local workforce. Trying to see if there's anything else. I did note the first available appointment, third next available appointment. These are metric we're using provided by the clinic to show access, and these are averages across to all the medical staff. And there's a typical sort of industry standard trends related to like how available is our providers on a general basis. Just so you know, on a daily basis, the urgent care is always available, and that's our walk-in clinic, and that is just that's always available. These are scheduled according to provider, and those are averaged. And you can see the summertime obviously is higher, not as available as the days are pushed out, but it's coming down as we are more fully staffed and heading into fall time. I didn't note this today, but we are seeing flu in our community. So get your flu shot. We're going to have some pods coming up, and anything else I should say about that?
Pods one, the October 10th, and either the 22nd or 24th, we'll get advertising out, and that will be down at the WAVE office.
So as Jennifer Brenner, our CNO, said, October 10th for our community pod. First one, community pod means point of dispensing. So that's our vaccination terminology clinic along with public health. And then what was the next date on that? Okay, so about 2 weeks later. That's at the WAVE building, you said? Okay. 3 to 6 p.m. All right, and we'll get some PSAs out for that. And that's all I have. Any questions on our report?
Does the clinic have the high-risk flu vaccine for elderly and high-risk people?
Jennifer, if you could speak in the mic, that would be.
The high-dose flu vaccine arrived today, so they are just getting the consent forms ready, and we'll be offering that shortly.
Any other questions regarding Phil's report? Thank you, Phil. Financials.
Sorry about that. Jason McCormick, CFO. The board has the packets and we'll put it on the screen for those who are on the internet. So just going to go through the statistics really quick here. You can see the clinic visits are down just about 4 visits from the prior year, same time prior year. And the radiology exams are up slightly, about 44 procedures there. Lab is down just a little bit. We do struggle with Blue Cross Blue Shield. They implemented a new program about a year ago requiring reference labs to be forwarded to a reference lab. So we think that that's impacting a little bit of the volume there. Rehab services is down just a little bit. We did have the occupational therapist was with us partway through the month of August and left halfway through, and we have a new one coming halfway through September. So there's about a 4-week period of time that we were without an occupational therapist. Home health visits down slightly from the prior year. This is where the numbers get, where, as Phil was commenting, that we've had some really strong acute care visits, as well as some tremendously strong swing bed services. So year to date for the first 2 months of the fiscal year, 235 patient days for swing bed as compared to the prior year, 77. That's a service that, we'll go through a month or two and we'll have a lot of services, and then it could be that we don't have any patients for a period of time. Usually over the course of the year, it tends to average out from year to year, but it is kind of I wouldn't say a seasonal, but it comes in spurts. So that is very much helping our cash flow at the present time. And then, as he indicated, very reasonably strong. I would say we're not quite as strong for the previous 2 months as we were a year ago, but it is full in the month of September. So we hope to see those numbers for long-term care come up. Then we'll just glance at the income statement. Total gross patient revenues, 2.8 million compared to a budget of 2.3, so 461,000 above budget. Net patient revenues for the month, 2,397,000 as compared to a budget of 1.9 million. So almost 500,000 above budget there. Contractuals, fairly light for the period of time. Strong grant revenues, so our total operating revenues, almost 2.6 million compared to a budget of 2.1 million. So 500,000 over budget there. The operating expenses, running a little bit higher. We spread the budget once again straight across every month, just divided by 12. And so last month we had 31 days, and so payroll is showing a little higher. We also had some additional expenses for some physicians that were recruited. So that's why payroll is a little higher than expected. But overall, we're about 192,000 over budget there, but the net income, we're 313,000 above budget. And then, of course, when you get down to, it's labeled as non-operating. I call it the capital section. That's where we deal investments and interest expense, but we also deal with our capital grants, the construction. And so year to date, we're showing a positive bottom line of 1,447,000 for the month, excuse me. And that's above budget by 400,000. And then year to date, we're showing 3.5 million compared to a budget of 2.1 million. So we're 1.5 million above budget with regards to those capital items. Our cash is looking good presently, about $1 million in there, as indicated, and due to these increased patient volumes for the last 2 or 3 months, that's produced additional cash flow. And we're still going to be moving away from HRG, but I would say that this new person that we're working with is doing a much better job than we've seen the 2 previous teams. And we are seeing increased cash flow for this month due to efforts that she's had in working with our staff to work with the specific payers. So we're glad to see finally a little bit of assistance and support that is long overdue. So, that is my concern. It was with regards to getting accounts receivable to come down. We've shared with you our action plan. Accounts payable seems high, but that's because we received the payout for the construction project right at the end of the month. And then it's paid out just after the first of the month. And so it makes it appear like accounts payable is really high, when in reality, that's just the pay application for the construction project. Don't have anything else there. A few statistics, as you can see there, the days in AR are 84, and we'd like to see them at 65. And we've already been over the investments, so no point going on to that. Just a couple projects that we're working on would be the audit. We've turned in all of the information to the auditors. We're now working on turning in information to the cost report. Everything's on schedule. We did receive a payment from FEMA. It was a small project that was still lingering, about $84,000, $82,000 that came in here this last couple of weeks. And so busy time in the department. We've got all the budgets loaded, shared that with the department managers, and we're just working through what we call the finance season audits and cost reports. Any questions?
Thank you, Jason, for that report. Don't see any old business. Next meeting? Fourth? Twenty-fourth works?
Here,
Yes.
can I make a quick announcement?
Yes.
I forgot to mention the manager retreat, which the board is invited to as well. Obviously not a quorum, but is October 23rd over at the Lutheran Church.
Do I have a motion to go for the board to enter into executive session to review medical files and legal update?
This is Marlene. I so move. And I just wanted to say, I hope your sessions with the Alaska Hospital and Nursing Home Association are really productive. I don't know if you'll come home with a silver or a plate or a gold plate this time, like you did last time.
Have a second for the motion.